I'm saying this to you all, is that if y'all want to commit to this, commit to this. Don't commit to one-termers. Commit to, I'm in it for the long haul. I need colleagues. I need Department of Transportation to call me and say, the chairwoman say, what y'all want to do with your bread down here? I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel them trucks going down by tributary. You know, I don't know. But I need colleagues. I mean, I was delighted that Henry was there. I'm sure DT is delighted that he has colleagues, right? Because that's important. This is the very first time we can talk to each other. We have some muscle now. We can really, what y'all working on? Okay, here's our stuff. Let's try to move this around. We finally got it. We're not there yet. But we're right there at the edge. So I say all this, and I'm going to just yield them. I know y'all got questions later. But for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, I need help. I need real help. She needs help. And what we learned, if the president can take it both times, what does that tell you? Both times, the president won. What does that tell us? It can be done. I mean, that means we have a moderate voice here in Douglas County, but at a local level, yes, friends, it's all that. Y'all got to build relationships. Like, I think Leadership Douglas, all the other things, you got to get out there. I don't care how you get out there. You got to be out there, because when you try to show up and let I'm going to run for office, they look at you like, okay, who is this? No, seriously. Yeah. So I remember the guy called me. He sent me a text when Don won, right? Or not LBJ. He says, "Is she a pretty face, or is there a kingpin behind her?" Literally sent me a text, and I showed her what she's like. Wow, Kelly, this is how the establishment works. Who are you? They digging in your background. They calling me. Okay, is she a pretty face? Listen to what that said. Is she a pretty face or just some rich kingpin behind her? I said, no, she'll talk to you. She's legit. She's solid. I got to defend y'all. So look at how they're judging you. Pretty faces, that ain't enough for them. Right?
And we bring pretty faces and cash.
Okay. Right. But anyway, I'm going to yield before that. You're going to get some material that's going to be handed out to you later on in the email. But again, it was a pleasure to talk to y'all. Now, I'm always available. But here's the thing. Y'all act like y'all don't know me.
I know.
And I got to get on my soapbox. I'm going to yield back. Because nobody calls me for letters of recommendation, but they do. Oh, they wear me out. Nobody calls me for interns, but they do. Nobody contacts me for nothing. And it hurts my feelings. I'm here to help. I mean, I really want to give a go-to mat to y'all. I want to see y'all names come up that says, okay, hey, Henry, man, you got this name. Me and Henry got this nod thing. Like, it's just sort of like, you play car spades and stuff. We don't even look at each other. They'll try to divide and conquer me and Henry. We're like, okay, me and Henry talk like nobody's business. I mean, we're very transparent and stuff. We may go different directions, but we're still loyal to the blue, no matter what. Right? So we need people who are going to be committed to this, because they don't play fair. And they play for real. So if you want to get into this thing, please be serious about it. But reach out to people who are elected that have done it, so that you can get some wisdom that you don't have to learn the hard way. Especially when you campaign, don't be so closed and stuff. It ain't that deep. Not with us. We're here to help. But again, you'll figure this out and so forth. But again, my name is Kelly Robinson. I am a commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
And at this time, I would like to introduce our third facilitator for the day, Mrs. Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. Mrs. Mitchell-Blackwell is a member of the Douglas County Board of Elections and Registration. She was appointed by Douglas County Democratic Party Chair David Good and approved by the Douglas County Commissioners for a 4-year term that began January 2015. Mrs. Mitchell-Blackwell is committed to the progressive movement. She is the president of the Democratic Women's Council of Douglas County, a member of the Executive Committee of the Douglas County Democratic Party, a past chair of the Atlanta Chapter Advisory Board of the New Leaders Council, which is a progressive leadership training organization, and she has served as volunteer coordinator on a high-profile congressional campaign. Mrs. Mitchell-Blackwell is an attorney and CPA who has transitioned from the practice of law to public speaking, writing, and publishing. She is also the CEO of Leading Through Living Community, a leadership training and development organization, author of 2 books on leadership, the editor-in-chief of Bold Flavor Magazine, and a talk show host of LTL Today. Mrs. Mitchell-Blackwell is married to Reverend Brian Blackwell, and they are the proud parents of one daughter. She will present Preparing for Service, Creating a Strong Professional Image. Let us welcome Ms. Lynita.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your attention today, and thank you for that very warm introduction, Alicia. Before I dive into my presentation, I have to tell you, I always had dreams of being politically involved, but I really didn't have a plan. That it was truly the Lord, because I would get out, I would meet people, and they would say, hey, come and help me do X, and I would show up, and then they would say, oh, you can do Y, do this, and Z, and then I would look around, and then I'm in charge, and I'm like, how did this happen? And after the third time it happened, my husband was just like, just go with it, baby, it's all right. So today I'd like to talk with you about preparing for service, but before, there is a certain way that people perceive you. And so we're going to break this up a little bit with image and professionalism. So I have a definition of image here, a physical likeness or a representation. And so this is what people see. Does anybody have any idea of the percentage that is allocated to what a person thinks of you when they look at you? Like, let me be honest.
25%.
It's higher.
70.
Higher.
95.
It's 80.
80%.
What a person thinks of you is 80% determined by the first time they look at you, what they think. And this is true in any capacity, so work, social, whatever you do. So it's really important that you look nice, right? But the other part to that is, and we do not put enough into this, it's really how you make people feel. It really is, because we've all seen people who don't have it all quite together, disheveled hair and all the rest of it, but they have great relationships. They have been able to achieve wonderful things, but they don't exactly have the look that we would expect for them to have to serve in a certain role. It's because they know how to treat people. So it's how you look, how you behave, and how you treat people. Now let's talk a little bit about the treatment of folks, if you don't mind for a moment. Alicia, can I use you as an example? So when we meet, normally we shake, right? Hi, how are you? What do you think about that? But we've all seen people do that, right? We've all seen people do that. Now, if I were to tell you that Alicia told me prior to shaking hands, girl, I just washed my hands so they're a little wet. But you didn't hear her say that to me, you just saw me do that. It is really important that we are in tune with that. How about this? Everybody's seen that. Hey, how are you? Oh, yeah. So I'm shaking her hand, meeting her, but I'm looking for a more important person in the room. How many people have seen that? Yeah, I've been on the receiving of that end too. And the funniest part is when they're doing this. Have you seen Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell? Do you know who? Yeah, that's me. That was awesome. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate it. You know, we're able to laugh at these things, but in a much more serious role, particularly when we're talking about positioning ourselves for appointed office, it's not so fun. Because when someone makes a recommendation for you, they are holding themselves out. I was very honored when David came to me last March and said, would like to put your name in the fall for the Board of Elections and Registration. Because although he knew that Maisha and I are close, his wife, he didn't really know me very well. And so for him to put his name out there, to put me before the Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Wilson, thank you very much for the confirmation, it meant a whole lot. And you have to think about the fact that people are putting their names on the line when they are putting you forward. So it's how you look, how you behave, how you treat people. Now let's talk about the professional part of it. So we're all family, right? And we can talk candidly about that. Sometimes when we come to our Democratic Party meetings, it gets a little crazy in there, right? And I actually had someone come to me after my first meeting and say, oh, please don't leave. I know sometimes we can be unprofessional, but we really love you and respect one another. I laughed at that, because I've been told way more than that. You're not going to chase me away from something that I love, right? And sometimes it has to get messy, because we have to talk about things that we're not necessarily all going to agree on, right? But one of the things that I really appreciated that Commissioner Robinson said about you have to be in this, be serious and be willing to fight. We all agree on one thing: we want this county blue, but we're going to differ on how that is achieved. But it is important that we maintain a certain level of professionalism while we do so. So professional, having or showing great skill and expert. I don't know what your job is, what you call yourself. You need to be committed in doing that to the best of your ability. So that's not only doing the job well, but it's training, any certifications, anything that is going to make you sharp, anything that's going to make you strong. We all heard this growing up. You need to be twice as good to what? Get half as much. That is the case no matter what you're doing. Work hard, grind. You've got to put it in. There are no shortcuts to this. There just are not. There just are not. Professionalism, professional status, methods, character, or standards. See, we never get away from character, treating people well, honoring your commitments when you can't, saying so, being honest, not throwing people under the bus when things happen. Commissioner Robinson sent me an email yesterday asking for photocopies. I didn't make excuses. I said, I apologize. I got it after. I didn't say he didn't send it. That would have been disingenuous, discourteous, and just mean. I mean, really, but people do these things, and we've all been on the receiving end of it. And you can't do that if you're serious about people putting their names on the line for you. So how do you put yourself in a posture of being appointed or even elected? Well, let's start first here with getting involved. And it's not just politically, right?
Right.
It's professional, community, social, civic. Anybody tell me why? The same people that you go to church with are the same people that you're involved with your sorority and fraternities, are the same people that you're going to work with every day, are the same people, are the same people, are the same people. But if you don't get out, you don't ever meet these people.
Right.
And with any opportunity, whether it's corporate, political, or social, it's the people that put you there. When you were talking about money earlier, money doesn't vote, people do. I said about Leslie last year that to get people in front of Leslie, that is the vote. I watched her talk a Republican into voting for her, and watched that man go and talk to other Republicans and say, you need to support her. I saw that happen. But that only happens when you're not afraid to talk to folks.
Right.
Now, I understand about being shy. I'll be very frank with you. When I took the Myers-Briggs personality test, I am actually an introverted person. I do not like being out and about. If I have the choice between going to a meeting or staying home with a good book, y'all know what I would pick. The book at home. But that is not going to get me where I want to be in life. And so you kind of have to develop and craft a shield or an external armor, right? A face that you put forward to the community. It's not disingenuous, because it really is me. I am normally a happy person. I'm smiling. And can attest to that. You've seen me in a couple different roles, right? But it's not the me that my family sees at home. And there's everything right with that. Because I can be a little goofball at home, and y'all be like, y'all appointed her. What? We don't need any of that. We don't need that, right? Being honest and keeping in contact with people. So, how many people have experienced this? Alicia, girl, can I take you to coffee? Sure, what do you want to talk about? Oh, I just want to catch up. Girl, I've not heard from you in 4 years. But you just want to catch up. So then you get to the meeting, right? And they're hitting you up for money to run for a position. And then they want you to endorse them publicly. But I don't know what you've been doing these past 4 years. You could have murdered people for all I know. And maybe that's why you're missing, because you were in jail. But I mean, how not just your warm circle, family, friends, neighbors, right? But your social groups and your professional networks. Now, I know we're all busy. Every person in this room, if I were to call you out, at least 3 of these groups you're going to fall into. You are a parent. You are a spouse. You are active in your church. You are active at work. You serve in leadership roles in the community. Does that fit everybody in this room?
Yes.
Well, you need to stop. You need to stop. Right? But this is where technology becomes important. And I'm not going to tread on your presentation to me, I promise. But we have these wonderful smartphones. We have email. Sometimes just send somebody a text saying, I'm thinking about you. Pick up the phone and say, girl, you know what? I don't have a lot of time. I'm about to run into a meeting. But I was thinking about you and thought I'd just give you a shout. Nothing wrong with that. So that when it is time for you to do whatever it is you have in your mind, it's not you popping up out of the blue saying, hey, I need you to commit to raising $5,000 for my campaign. It's, you know, I've been working on these various things and I've been keeping you in contact. Well, how do you keep people involved? What about starting a newsletter that you send out maybe once a quarter? I have a girlfriend who, at least for the past 10 years, once a year during Christmas time, she sends out a letter to an entire mailing list showing what she and her family have been involved in. Now, can it get pricey? Because she sends this U.S. mail. I've been trying to get her on an electronic bundle, but she's like, no, people like getting letters. And they do. I love getting it. I don't throw it away because you feel guilty because they spend money on it, you know. So it's very effective. But these are just some things that you can do to stay in contact with people so that they don't feel that they're being used. People support people that they like, whether they think you are the best person for the job or not. We have all been in situations where we've had to make a decision between supporting the most qualified person and our friend. And invariably, we pick our friend. You know why? Because we like our friend. Our friend is there for us. Research. I'm going to challenge you to look at positions that are not only just open but occupied. Okay, I'm going way out here on a limb, but it is important to say. Some of the people who are serving are not necessarily the best people for the job. And some of them who are serving have been there too long and they need to come out of here. Whether they're wearing blue or red. And that's for real. And if you are moved, and when I say moved, I'm talking about the spirit. I'm not talking about somebody who's trying to use you as a pawn for their own agenda. Then you need to move on that. I actually have a girlfriend who came to me and said in her county, I really want to run for county commissioner, but I'm friends with all the commissioners and I wouldn't feel right. And I asked her, I was like, have you been called to do this? She said, yes, but I feel bad. She let it pass. Not a week after the election, after the person whose seat she would have run for embarrassed himself because he was caught talking to an underage young lady, dressed in attire that was not befitting a public official, and he was married with children older than this child he was playing with. And I said to her, I said, now see, we had this conversation. And now this man is resigning in disgrace. The seat is open, and now you are going to have some serious opposition. Because the question now is, why didn't you run before? That is a tough conversation to have, and I'm asking you to step out and sometimes be out there by yourself. But when you hear it, you've got to answer and you've got to move. And trust that the resources are going to come because what we're genuine. And we've been talking to people about what we want all the time. And so when we step out there and we're ready to do whatever it is, it's not a surprise. And it's coming for us. Determine your interests and pursue them with passion, but be open to new opportunities. So in getting the appointment to the Board of Elections, when David first came to me in March 2014, I was excited. Oh, you've done really great. This is exciting. Well, 6 months later, a whole lot had changed in my life with the launch of the magazine. I had a TV show about to start, and he was like, hey, you still working? I'm like, oh, how much work is that going to be? And he and Ingrid, who time they were like, it's gonna be fine, you have our support, I promise it's going to be fine. And it has been. And I am very excited and glad that I did not shut off that opportunity to serve. But it does require talking to people and letting them know honestly what you have going on in your life. Now let's talk a little bit about what does not work. Disingenuous engagement. So those folks who just show up just to be seen and then they roll before they can help do anything for substance. Lack of follow up and follow through. Now we all have times when we overcommit. I am no exception to that rule. But it's really important that we speak up as soon as we see the avalanche coming and say, help. Play in the middle. How many of us know folks who will not make a decision because they're trying to see which side is going to come down the best? Yeah, that's all of us. Does not work. You would rather be strongly wrong than weakly right. Take a stand. People respect that. And you respect yourself. Taking on more than you can reasonably handle. Now, a lot of times we say yes, and we're serving as president or chair of like 3 or 4 different things. Well, that's great when you're single. But once you get married and kids start coming, that's kind of ridiculous. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not talking about anybody else but me. And you are blocking up the opportunity for other people to serve. Now, we don't think like that, but that is the truth. We think, oh, but if I don't do it, no one will. No, if you move out of the way and leave it vacant for a while, that allows people to see that something needs to be done. And let's say the person who steps up to serve is not the best person. Well, take on the challenge and help grow them. Help them get it together. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And it was built brick by brick. Help lay bricks. It's failing to support others. I mean, we're always asking people to come out and do for us. I'm the same way, but we have to learn how to support others as well. Now, you can't go to everything. You can't go to everything. But you can encourage your friends to. You can share on social media. You can give a donation when your finances allow for it. There are other ways to support other than you physically being there in your face and someone else's face. Find one. Get creative. And again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I know Tarina is going to talk about this, but digital content management is a must. So we are in an age where before I return your phone call or before I reach out to you, I am going to go and I'm going to Google you to find out what I can about you. And so if you are not managing that search process, you are a fool. I said that as harshly as I could so that you can really understand where I'm coming from. You must take ownership over this process. And it's so easy and it does not cost any money. First thing is you need a website. You can get a free one on a really nice one, about.me. All you're doing is uploading a very nice picture of yourself, your bio, and links to whatever social media you have. That's it. And it's free. You need an email. We all have those emails from colleges like Luscious Babe and all the rest of it. They've got to go. They've got to go. First name, last name, at Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, whatever.com. Social media. You need a LinkedIn profile. You need a Facebook business person profile. So you're not friending all these crazy people. Send them to your Facebook page and let them like and follow that. And you really need a Google Plus professional page as well. Now, why would I put that by itself? The first thing I said is before I return your phone call or email, what am I going to do? I'm going to Google. I didn't say search, I said Google. More people use Google products than any of the other platforms. I'm talking about combined Explorer, Opera, Firefox. And if y'all think for a minute that Google is not managing its own content to come up first, I don't care what the SEC says, y'all crazy. Play the game. And your collateral is huge. Business cards, you can get them for very nominal cost from Vistaprint and Move.com. And handouts, you can create some beautiful flyers, postcards, palm cards. We did Leslie's collateral using Lucid Press. It's $10 a month. Very easy things that you can do to prepare yourselves now for whatever is coming. It might not necessarily be political, it might be professional, either way, be ready. And here's my contact information. We will email all this out at the end. And I'll save questions to our Q&A. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
At this time, we will have our speaker for the morning. Who will have this? Lynita Carthen, who is the CEO of Ellen Consultants LLC, a healthcare and technology training company committed to facing and overcoming the challenges in our nation's health system. As a business owner, Ms. Carthen embraces her role as a partner in the startup community, a healthcare advocate committed to speak, serve, and work to bring the best answers for the advancement of healthcare, inclusive of great technology. Mrs. Carthen merges her passion for corporate involvement with civic engagement through her work in politics and advocacy. She is an active member of the Douglas County Democratic Party and Vice President, District 3 of the Democratic Women's Council for Douglas County. Mrs. Carthen is also passionate about marriage and family. She and her husband are co-founders of the marriage ministry, Marry Me for Life, which has helped numerous couples save their marriage and keep their families intact through advisement, coaching, and speaking engagements. She will present on the importance of technology savvy in politics.
That's impressive because I did not give any of that information to Alicia or Lynette. So they Googled me. Right? Yeah. They use social media. But I'll give you, that's a lot about me, but I'll give you a little synopsis of who I am. Lynita Carthen, I'm a native of Atlanta. I've been here the majority of my life. My husband and I lived overseas. Well, we lived in Hawaii for a little while when he was in the Navy. But yeah, we own Ellen Consultants. We've been in business for about 12 years. Basically, we just help companies, public, private sector to medical facilities, build up servers. We do software integration, management, anything that has to deal with technology. So if you or anyone that you know is in need of those services, please look us up. We'd love to help you, and if we can't help you, we always have people that can, okay? So that leads us to why I'm in front of you this morning. I mean, we've heard a lot of information and great information, so it's good to come up with people who give you great information. I hope to carry that out. I hope that when you walk out of here, you know a little bit more about social media than when you walked in. So, but I must profess, I am not a guru of social media, okay? But what I am a guru of is being a student. I'm a student first. I'm always in learning mode, and then I teach. So I hope to put on the teacher hat this morning and teach you a little bit about social media. Now, how many of you in here have cell phones? That's everybody in the room. So I would suggest there's about 30 people in here. How many of you have at least 10 contacts in your phone? At least 10. Okay. So that means between us, we can contact 300 people in a matter of seconds, right? By sending out a text message. That is huge when you're trying to get your presence or your brand across to people. The one thing that we've heard this morning is everything is about relationship. And that's what social media does. It allows you to relate to others that are in your sphere of influence, and even those who are not. It allows people, I know Alicia. Alicia can call somebody and tell somebody about me. They trust Alicia. So therefore, even though they don't know me, they will lend me an opportunity to get to know me. That's social media. That's the power of social media. There are about 800 different social media apps and sites. Now, that may seem like a lot, but not really when you have over 40 billion internet users. 40 billion. Now, out of these 800 plus sites, 500 plus or more are engaged users. There are some that have over 1 billion users. Facebook being one, 1 billion engaged users. That is a huge reach. How many of you know you'll probably reach somebody in Douglasville who has a Facebook account if you put one up, right? Okay. So first one we'll take a look at is Twitter. Everybody's heard of Twitter? Right? Twitter is the @ symbol and the hashtag or pound or tic-tac-toe. We've seen that in front of words or phrases. Twitter is huge. Your audience for Twitter is usually the 35 to 49-year-olds. And guess what? It's women. Women are your main users on Twitter. They allow for information. They get their information from Twitter. So it's very important that you know your demographic of people. It's really important that you know where people live, and guess where they live on social media. They live on Twitter. So you want to be able that if you have a volunteer working on your campaign, I would put a woman on my Twitter account because I know she's going to know the pulse of Twitter. She's going to look at the hashtag references, and she's going to know that I need you to engage on this. Now, a hashtag and a word or a word phrase helps someone to keep up with topics that you're interested in. So it's really important that you hashtag. I know some of you probably say, oh, I see these hashtags everywhere. That's because people are branding themselves and they're branding their topics. They want to make sure that they're engaged with people. And again, it goes back to relating. Everything is relating. So it's really important that if you have a Twitter account, that you stay engaged. And I would love to put a woman on it, okay? Pinterest. Pinterest is huge. I would say for a political candidate, Pinterest is like your visual political resume. It's all about photos. If you put up a photo within the community that you are engaged within the community, and I see that, I relate to you. I know that you have my best interests at heart. I'm going to repin in Pinterest, they repin photos. So it's all about that visual relation. Again, this is also 70 million active users. 68% of those, women. And the average demographic age for Pinterest is a 37-year-old female. These are good things to know because it helps you to target your message to your audience. You want to be consistent with your brand, but you want to make sure that you are targeting those people. We'll come back to Facebook. Our next one is Instagram. Now, Instagram, their demographic target age audience is 18 to 29. These are where you reach your young people. Now, we remember that President Obama was not well known. If you followed the Democratic politics, you kind of knew who he was. But for young people who didn't, who don't do a lot of reading, Instagram was huge for him. Instagram was huge for him with Twitter also. So if you want to reach that younger audience who's not into reading a whole lot, they're all into photos, what's fun, you reach them on Instagram. So if you have a volunteer in your office, or you have a son or a daughter who's young, who's in that age group, I would put them on my Instagram account quickly. I would let them know, hey, here's what I'm doing.